always positive, always worked hard, always sweat. Never one time left the class not sweating. Worked hard and, stay determined. Here we are, 16 years later.
The coordination, the discipline, and the people are just great here. They have a lot of patience with Daniel and he's learning.
Everyone, we are here going behind the gi, behind the gloves with none other than Daniel
Royer.
Do we have a nickname yet, Daniel?
I don't need any nicknames.
Why don't you introduce yourself the Bond way?
My name is Royer. Daniel Royer.
That's right. Daniel Royer.
Excellent. So Daniel, we have a couple questions for you, because all the coaches here have trained with you, myself, Coach Abe, and Coach Damon that you've been training with the last few years now. Can you tell us who your first, tell me how long you've been training now? You're great with numbers. What's the number?
20.
20 years. And who was your very first instructor?
Mr. Trahan.
Mr. Trahan. Wow, and he's still involved in the martial arts game. So shout out to Mr. Trahan. Who is next?
Mr. Albin.
Mr. Albin. Shout out to Mr. Jason Albin. And then who is next in the lineage?
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams here with us today, also still training. And then?
Mr. Vincent.
You skipped one. There's one in between. Remember, who's that? Your favorite coach?
Mr. Phillips.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Mr. Coach Damon.
Yes.
All right. So Daniel, out of the 20 years of training, can you tell us what is the most fun part about training?
Taekwondo.
In which you have achieved your?
Third degree black belt.
Third degree black belt. Awesome.
Now I'm working on the 4th degree black belt.
Okay. Very cool. So how long you been training with Coach Damon?
2 years.
2 years. And how's that been, Coach Damon?
It's been awesome, man. Daniel and I have expanded our horizons as far as some other different styles of martial arts. Now Daniel's doing some other types of kickboxing, and now we do fitness. Fridays. Yes, we do. Yes. So 1 day of hard martial arts, and then 1 day of fitness, and then we do our unique fitness class. What time on Tuesdays?
From 9:30 to 10:30 a.m.
9:30 to 10:30 on Tuesdays. We're working out with unique fitness, so it's a good time.
Yes.
So normally you do the one-on-ones. You've been doing that for a long time. And how do you like the class setting with some of your friends in class?
Because I know how to meet the other Taekwondo students.
They're pretty cool?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So when did you start training with Coach Abe Williams?
2004, the year Ronald Reagan passed away.
What month?
March.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
2004. That's when we started training. I don't remember when we ended though. I think it was 2009, 2010.
It was 2010, yes.
Yeah.
The year the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl in Miami, Florida.
And this year they're playing, or the Super Bowl is in?
Well, Super Bowl 54 is going to be live from Miami, Florida on Fox Groundhog Night 2020. But we don't yet know who it'll be. But I'm thinking about the Houston Texans now.
Daniel's a big fan of the Houston Texans. Who else?
New Orleans Saints and Dallas Cowboys.
Houston and New Orleans Saints.
Tough one
That's
for the Cowboys this year.
Yes.
Yeah, rough time.
Okay.
So I was thinking,
What about our maybe our football fans and our wrestling fans? Anything coming up for the wrestling fans?
I am officially a wrestling fan. But if you existed in around March of 1985, there came the very first WWE pay-per-view WrestleMania show live from Madison Square Garden. Commentators were the late, great Gorilla Monsoon and the body Jesse Ventura. Special guest main event ring announcer was the late Billy Martin. Special guest referee was the late Muhammad Ali. The special guest main event timekeeper was the late Liberace. Mr. T from the A-Team and the Saturday morning animated cartoon show, and Hulk Hogan defeated Paul Orndorff and the late Roddy Piper.
that was the first event ever.
Yes.
That was awesome, man. Thank you.
That's your WWF.
WWE World Wrestling
At that
Trivia.
time, it was
WWE.
okay. So, Coach Abe, what can you tell us about your experience? Because you probably trained with Daniel the longest for 5 or more years. So, can you tell us what you remember the most about those golden years?
Yeah,
David Bowie.
Yeah, that's when I first started teaching. So Daniel was always positive, always worked hard, always sweat. Never one time left the class not sweating. Worked hard, and stayed determined. Here we are, 16 years later? After
15 years later.
15, almost 16 in 3 months.
Yes.
So, yeah, here we
Daniel's
To the
about
next
his
16
numbers.
years.
What happens if we're like a minute behind schedule, Coach Abe?
we never cut a class short, and we never go over
Right.
No.
to the second.
Daniel keeps
Every
us on
class.
time.
Yes.
For Daniel.
All right.
Yes.
Well, very good then. Anything you want to say to the millions upon millions of viewers around the world before we bring in Mom?
Well, Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, and Pierce Brosnan officially used to play as James Bond, but they don't anymore. Daniel Craig officially played as Bond during 4 official films, but Daniel Craig's ready for his 5th and final official James Bond live-action movie this upcoming April, No Time to Die. It'll be the only permanent official live-action James Bond movie which MGM will team with Universal for.
Very good. Shall we invite Mom into the frame now?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Bobble.
Yes.
Come on down. The queen behind the scenes, right? Always bringing Daniel to and from class for the last
2 years.
not
Here.
20?
Well, here.
2
Here.
years here.
Yes,
Yeah.
2 years here.
Okay. And so, why is it that you keep coming? What's so important to Daniel and you guys that you have made it a part of your life for 20 years?
The coordination, the discipline, and the people are just great here. They have a lot of patience with Daniel, and he's learning.
Yes.
And so y'all did one-on-one. How did y'all get started with the one-on-one set? Did somebody like recommend it, or did y'all know Mr. Trahan personally,
No.
or how did that work?
We just started with him. We thought the discipline would be good with him, and for his coordination. He's come a long way. In fact, today was the first time in 35 years I ever saw him skip rope.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
Big day.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Small
cool.
accomplishments, but little steps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Over the course of 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
though.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a big deal. Okay.
Yes.
Well, cool. Any closing words you want to say to any of his previous instructors, or what are some goals that you would like to see Daniel work towards over the next 20 years?
I want him to keep working harder than he is right now and continue on. And thank you to everybody that ever helped him. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And he loves it.
Well, very good. Coach Damon, Coach Abe, do you have any closing questions or remarks?
I just found out that Daniel used to spar with Coach Abe. Is that right, Daniel?
Yes.
Man, how come you didn't tell me, man?
Yes, I knew that.
Now,
right.
He's the throw.
I guess that's what we're doing next week, Daniel. You and I,
Yes.
man, in the cage. Main event.
Cage.
All right.
That's it.
Well, very good, guys. We have gone behind the gloves with
Daniel Royer.
Royer.
Yes.
Daniel Royer.
Yes.
All right. Give him a knockout punch, Daniel.
Yeah.
Give him.
Bang, bang.
I pity the fool.
Seven.